The Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic looks like it might be getting the first expansion at Epic Universe. Hello everybody, welcome. New permits reveal that a much needed second attraction could very well be coming to the Ministry of Magic sooner than we thought. It is no secret that Epic Universe has been having capacity and stability issues at their park since opening. There's been problems with rides going down, not coming back up for the entire day, extremely long wait time, multi-hour wait times for several attractions, including Minecart Madness and Battle with the Ministry. Universal recently came out and said they're extremely happy with the performance of the park and the profitability of the park. However, their focus is now going to shift to increasing capacity at Epic Universe, which means they not only need to increase the operations of the park, the ability to keep rides moving for existing attractions, but they're also going to need to add more attractions. I think one very obvious problem is the Ministry of Magic. The entire Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Epic Universe, that area itself, I think it's kind of a glaring problem with that land. I think most people universally may agree that the Ministry of Magic area is probably the weakest area of all the lands at Epic Universe, which I think is kind of shocking because you would have thought that that would have been the kind of like most popular, marquee, amazing lands of all the ones that are coming to Epic. But I just feel like it's kind of falling flat for a few reasons. One is it only features one attraction, and that attraction is spectacular, 100%, but it only has the one attraction. And then it has a show in that land, but it's probably the weaker of the two shows in the park. The Untrainable Dragon show is just phenomenal when it's running smoothly. And out of all three of the Harry Potter lands, you think of Diagon Alley, you think of Hogsmeade, and you think of this new Ministry of Magic area, the land itself is the least whimsical, least fantastical. Don't get me wrong, the towering buildings of the 1920s Paris is just phenomenal, like cannot be touched. But I don't think it has as much magic to it. When you're in Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade, you just feel it, like it just looks amazing. It feels like nothing that exists in the real world. Whereas the Ministry of Magic, it just kind of does feel like you're walking through the streets of 1920s Paris. In addition, the Battle with the Ministry ride has absolutely horrible wait times. It doesn't always open on time. It doesn't always open at all. And I think people are getting really frustrated with that experience of having to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or waiting for an hour or two, and then it goes down, then you have to leave the line, you come back, you keep trying it over and over again. Just the capacity in that land is a struggle. And so I think people enter into the Ministry of Magic, they try to do Battle with the Ministry, they're unsuccessful. They may try to do Les Cirque Arcanu, the show, but that also can be problematic to get into because the capacity of that, there's a lot of demand to see it, and there just isn't as much capacity. And then you kind of walk around the land a little bit, and then people end up leaving because it feels like there's not a lot to do. So one of the areas that you would think would be the most crowded, the most popular, feels empty a lot of the times. Now, this area of the park was supposed to originally have 2 attractions. We know this. We've talked about this in the past. There is a section of the land over sort of to the right of the show, Les Cirque Arcanu. If you go over to the right side there, there is an entire facade for what was supposed to be the second attraction. So they built the entire front for it, but then they didn't build the entire back area. And you can kind of see that in like overhead aerial views. There's this plot of land back there where this attraction was supposed to be built, and then it ended up getting cut and not added for Epic Universe opening day. So they knew they needed 2 attractions in that land in addition to a show because of the popularity of Harry Potter in general. Now, whether or not they had the time or the funds to build that attraction, I don't think is as important as the fact that they couldn't land on what they wanted to do with that attraction. The original concept for that attraction was some sort of broomstick riding VR virtual reality attraction, but I will say, everything that is sort of like 3D glasses or causes any sort of like motion sickness or vertigo, Universal is systematically removing from their parks. You see it happening time and time again. They got rid of the 3D glasses at the Kong attraction. So anything that is giving people motion sickness or increasing the amount of motion sickness that people would be getting, they seem to be removing. So having a VR experience in Epic Universe as like a e-ticket attraction would have just been, I think, a failure. I think overall it would not have worked. And I think Universal knew that, and they decided they had to shutter it, and probably didn't have enough time to think of what was next. I think they tried a few different things and they just couldn't land on what they wanted to do with that space. And so they ended up just saying, you know what, let's just kill it. Could have just been budget related, but that's my understanding, is they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do. So there is now a brand new permit out there that Universal has just filed that shows a massive structure, a massive amount of space that is going to be worked on at Epic Universe. It's 150,000 square feet. Just for size comparison, the Battle at the Ministry attraction is about the same. It's around that same amount of space. So if you think about Battle at the Ministry and how huge that structure is, and how amazing that entrance and the Flu network and the attraction and all the stuff that's happening there, 150,000 square feet, that's the scale we're talking here for this new permit. Now, this permit could be for anything. There's no details about where exactly it's going to go or what is going to be in it. So I want to make that very clear. However, we can speculate on what would be happening with that permit. Could it just be back of the house operations? Could they be looking at building another large back of the house structure for operations? I've talked about this in previous videos. That space and all the back of the house area that they created for Epic Universe was not just for Epic Universe. It was also to relieve the back of the house operations at the existing Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure parks to move operations into the Epic Universe space. Because by doing that, that allows them to demolish some of the buildings that are over there in that landlocked space and potentially create attractions there. So they created a massive space for back of the house, which I think was an awesome future thinking strategy so that they could continue to expand their older parks while also building new things at Epic Universe and potentially in Phase 2. So it could be for a back of the house structure. Some of those back of the house buildings they have over there currently today are like 225,000 square feet. I mean, they're massive buildings. However, when you look at the layout of all the back of the house area and what's there today, there isn't really an obvious spot where something this large could go. It's pretty much all taken up. There's parking lots and structures built. There are formal, like, dedicated buildings that are already created there. There's not like an obvious area where you would build another back of the house. And I just don't think that they would be doing that right now. They already created tons of space and tons of buildings for back of the house. I don't see the need for them to build another one of those right now. So if it's not back of the house operations and not likely an event space, because we know they're already building an event space right there between the entry area and Super Nintendo World. They're already building an event space structure there. There's no way they're going to be building another one of those that's 150,000 feet. It doesn't, there's just no way. So what else could it be? Let's go through the most likely candidates. First, it could be another attraction or show space for Dark Universe. It could be the Frankenstein sort of show building, that massive monsters show that was originally planned for Dark Universe that they ended up cutting out. You can see it in the original concept art for Epic Universe. There was a large show building that was designed to house some sort of Dark Universe, Universal Monsters show that was going to be around the area where the Curse of the Werewolf and around where the Frankenstein's Manor was. That's where that show building was supposed to be. When they ended up cutting that, they replaced it with Curse of the Werewolf. So could they be thinking about bringing that in? That would add another third show, which would definitely relieve capacity in the park. A large show that can house a lot of people, if it's a successful and popular show, would reduce capacity on all the attractions across the park. If you look on the map here, I've marked this green space over here near Curse of the Werewolf. That's about 150,000 square feet right there where a structure could be built. However, this could also be for a Creature from the Black Lagoon dark ride attraction. We know that that has been talked about a lot. And this space here, 150,000 square feet around, wrapping around by Frankenstein's Manor, that could very well be another possibility. However, Dark Universe is already pretty good shape. I mean, I feel like Dark Universe works well. Monsters Unchained has massive capacity, always has low wait times. Curse of the Werewolf does have some capacity problems because it's just so slow turning people over. But it's also not like the most amazing attraction either, and I think there's so many things to see and do in Dark Universe. I just don't know that that would be priority to build a Creature from the Black Lagoon attraction yet. Now, it could also be for Super Nintendo World expansion. So if you look on the map here, this expansion plot right next to Super Nintendo World, that's in red. It's about 225,000 square feet, tons of space for more attractions, more buildings. There's a lot they could do there. And they could very well be adding a new, some sort of dark ride experience to expand Super Nintendo World, like a Luigi's Mansion, which we've talked about before as a very likely attraction coming. It would be a dark ride experience. We need more dark ride experiences, indoor attractions into Epic Universe because there are so many outdoor attractions. When it rains, it can be problematic. And the other thing is Super Nintendo World, the capacity problems in that area of the park are probably the worst of any of the areas of Epic Universe. Minecart Madness has the worst by far wait times across the board. It just has so many problems, so much demand, so low capacity. It is a big problem. Mario Kart also has some capacity issues. I mean, it does okay, but it breaks down a lot, but it has long wait times. The amount of people in that space for Super Nintendo World, the way it feels all compact, really is a struggle. I mean, there's just so many people in that space. So expanding Super Nintendo World could also be high on their priority list. However, I think the most likely scenario, going back to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and the issues they've had there, is the second Harry Potter attraction. I'm showing this here, this relative size and shape on the map. This is in purple. This is about 150,000 square feet. You see it fits perfectly behind that facade that they built where they did not create that show building behind it. I've got a few other images that kind of show that space that's already been now prepared for what is next. It's been leveled, it's ready to go. They could easily drop something on that space. And again, if you look at right next door, that blue space there that I've highlighted, that is about 150,000 square feet as well. So that's the Battle at the Ministry show building and queue. You can see it's about the same there. They could build another structure there. We also know they've been setting up work and construction trailers directly behind this plot of land. There's this sort of like little trailer area right behind it, and they've been putting new things there, which could mean they are preparing to start working in that area. It doesn't mean they couldn't work in a different area because they're setting up trailers there, but the proximity does make it pretty convenient to start work on that second Harry Potter attraction plot of land. And now obviously there is another plot of land right next door between Stardust Racers, which is sort of a expansion plot for an entirely new portal and land. I don't think that's a likely candidate at this point to be adding anything because that's going to be an entirely new portal. So what could the attraction be? We are really early in the game to be speculating on that, but I have heard some rumors. As I said, there used to be a VR broomstick flying adventure on the docket that got killed. They could do something similar without the VR headset portion, so real world sets. When you think about the space we're talking about, this isn't like a little area where you're just sitting on a virtual broomstick and you're experiencing something. Could they do something like the Avatar experience over at Animal Kingdom, Flight of Passage? Some sort of like sitting on a broomstick and experiencing something in front of you or even maybe all around you. They could do something like that. That would need a big show building. It could do something similar to like a Monsters Unchained, except you're on a broomstick in some capacity, still some sort of flying broomstick attraction, but it's really about real world sets all around you instead of it being a VR experience. However, I've also heard rumor about there being some sort of Great Hall dining experience. That's one of the big glaring omissions, in my opinion, of all the Wizarding World of Harry Potter lands, is that Great Hall where so many iconic scenes from the movies take place, and there's no Great Hall experience. There's no way to see it. There's no way to interact with it. You can't walk around. They don't really do anything. And I think that bringing some sort of Great Hall experience to life, or even maybe if that's just a portion of the attraction, is very much needed to round out the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So we could see something about that. I don't know what it would be. Could be a Haunted Mansion type simple, Omni mover, or some sort of attraction that just moves you through different scenes of the movie. Something more relaxed, something less intense. Do you think Epic Universe needs more less intense attractions that are very family friendly, that can move a lot of people through it without skyrocketing wait times? An Omni Mover style attraction would definitely accomplish that. So that's my take. Those are my speculations. Again, this is just based on a permit. It could be anything, but this is my best guess. I'm curious as to what you think is potentially going there. Have you heard rumors? Have you seen anything going on in the parks that might give you a clue? Drop me a line down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Get your take. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this content. Till I see you next time. The noble way is the easy way. Bye-bye, everybody.